Hi everybody, this is Caroline Sotheby and welcome to Up, Down, and Around Town. All right, I took a little vacation. I went down to Florida. It was so nice and sunshiny every day, but I enjoyed it and came back and well, it's Michigan, right? Anyway, got somebody here that I really haven't had a chance to talk to too much because when I got in contact with him, it was February. I was on vacation, and we just made an agreement to come to this show today. So I got to welcome Joe Pace. Hey, I wish a lot of these people would sit down and take a half hour because I know that what you're going to be talking about and what you are involved in can really hit a lot of people, and even somebody that they know from their friends or family or whatever. It's called Celebrate Recovery.
Yes.
Okay, how did you actually start this?
I started Celebrate Recovery because I myself am a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober for just about 8 years. It'll be 8 years in May. So I got sober through a secular program, and it helped me a lot, and it was great, but I found Celebrate Recovery, and my pastor actually asked me to look into it and start it. And what's great about it is it's a 12-step recovery program. So it's a Christ-centered 12-step recovery program. So it's just focused on Christ and finding freedom from our hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And that's the other difference behind it between a lot of recovery programs is it's not focused on alcohol, it's not focused on overeating or drugs or whatever it may be. It's focused on anything that you're struggling with. It could be, we've had members everywhere from alcohol to eating disorders to just people that are just grieving and just can't get over a loss of a loved one. Whatever you're struggling with, the program can help you with that and help you just turn it over to Christ and follow the steps to find freedom and find the peace that we read about in the Bible.
All right. Now, you're not connected, you said basically with any set church, or are you?
We're not. It's non-denominational. We have we have members that go to Catholic churches. We have members that go to different all different churches. A lot of our members go to our church. A lot of our members don't go to our church. It's probably about 50-50. So it's not something that's just for these beliefs or that's beliefs. If you believe in the Bible, if you believe in Jesus, this is a program that you could definitely get something out of.
Okay. First of all, where are you located?
We are located at 17125 Ford Line Road in Riverview, Michigan. So just up the road from here, not too far.
Okay. Hop, skip, and a jump for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So what's the best thing to do? Say if somebody would just like to come in and see, can this be for me? What's a good time?
Well, our ministry nights are on Mondays at 6:30. So I always tell anybody you can't go wrong just giving it a try. Come up at 6:30 on any Monday night. We're there every Monday night. How our service is, it's in two parts. So the first part is pretty much a church service. We'll have worship. We play a couple worship songs. We'll go through the 8 principles or the 12 steps so everybody kind of knows what that is if you've never heard of the 12 steps before. And then we have a teaching or a testimony. So I don't care who you are, biblical teaching is always a good thing, especially on a Monday night. So you get a teaching or a testimony. Sometimes it might be a video testimony, somebody that's been through the Celebrate Recovery program before and where they were and where they are now and what God has done through them through the program. All the teachings follow through the 8 steps, so through or 8 principles. Through a whole year from January to December, we'll cover the whole 12-step program, one Monday night or every other Monday. And so if you're interested, just come and try it. It's worth a try. After we do that portion, we call that large group. After that, we do small group. That is what people think of as recovery groups. That's where the women will go into one room and the men will go into another room. And that's when we talk about our victories or our struggles that we're experiencing at that time in our life, what brought us here. And it's an opportunity to see what other people are struggling with, and it's an opportunity to find the victories that other people had that might be struggling with the same exact thing that you're struggling with. You might be struggling with something like alcohol, and then you sit next to somebody that's been sober for 10, 15 years and realize, wait, if this guy can do it, I can probably do it too. Or, whatever your hurt, habit, or hang up might be.
Okay, so you said, like, in that case, it's similar to AA, but it's got the religious side to it where you think of Christ.
Right.
And, I mean, he brought us here, so to speak. Maybe he can help us, right?
100%. He
So-
is the answer.
He is the answer.
Yeah.
Okay, and you know that for a fact for yourself
Right.
alone.
Yep. Yeah, I got sober in 2015, and I got sober through AA. And I'd like to say that God brought me to AA, but AA brought me closer to God because I was struggling with my walk with God at the time. And once I got sober, then I threw myself into church, and that's when I truly started following Christ in my life. And then He led me to this program.
Okay, how many people do you usually have?
We're a smaller group. A lot of other Celebrate Recoveries are pretty big. We're anywhere from 10 to 20 usually, but we fluctuate. It's recovery.
You're fairly new, though, too.
Yeah, we've been around for a few years, but yeah, it takes some time before people know that we're here. There's plenty of people that, might live right up the street that don't know we're there, so.
And it's in Riverview, so it's very important. Okay, what other classes do you basically have? You said AA, you have what, people that have maybe been divorced or lost their loved ones, or?
Right, any type of addiction, grief, codependency is another big one. Somebody that is just struggling with a loved one and just living in a really codependent relationship. But the other thing also is you might have been raised by alcoholic parents, and you might have resentments and things like that that you're holding on to. So that might be something, we definitely get some people that are struggling with that kind of stuff as well. So anything, I like to say anything that's getting in between you and God. People ask me all the time, well, who is allowed to come to AA? I'm like, well, the Bible tells us we're all sinners, and hurt, habit, or hang up is pretty much any sin, so anybody can come.
Drugs, very important, too.
Oh, for sure. Drugs and alcohol are definitely our biggest ones.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of notification recently about nothing really in Downriver area for especially the teenagers and the young adults, so to speak. But you are a group that can bring them in and talk with them too.
Yep.
Okay. So for somebody that's out there and say, hey, I got a problem, but I really don't know if I should or not.
What I'd say to that is try it. My story, and I'll share a little bit of my story, and maybe it'll help somebody. Before I got sober, I had a loved one that had recently got sober and wanted me to get sober. Well, I was in denial and had all kinds of problems. But the last thing I ever wanted to do was to talk about my problems. I didn't want to sit in a room with a bunch of other guys and, in my eyes, whine and cry about my problems. I don't need to whine and cry about, because that's what a recovery group was in my eyes. Then that loved one passed away, and it was really hard on me. And long story short, I ended up in rehab. So that first day in rehab was my first AA meeting. It was my first support group meeting. And it hit me really hard because my mom had tried to get me to do this for so long, and then now here I am, and it feels good. She was
Yeah.
right. And I may or may not have broke down during my first AA meeting, but from that point on, I haven't been able to stop. Matter of fact, my counselors and rehab had to remind me I'm not the only person at the support groups. I have to let
Yeah.
other people talk too. We have this stigma in our culture that we shouldn't talk about our feelings, but that's how we overcome the things that we're struggling with, is to just sit and talk about it with other people that are struggling with the same things that we are. And once you say it out loud, it doesn't feel as heavy as it did before you said it out loud. I might be struggling with something today, and I'll sit down with the other men in our group and like, I got a confession, I've been struggling with this. And as soon as I say it out loud, I don't feel like I'm struggling with it no more, because God put those people in at that table there with me in that room, in that church that night, so I could confess that and they could help me go through whatever I'm going through. It reminds me of the story, and I like to tell, use this Bible story a lot, of the paralyzed man. And it's the story where Jesus is teaching in a house, and the house is full. Nobody can get in the house. And some men carry their friend on a mat, and they carry him to Jesus, and they're trying to get him to Jesus. The man's paralyzed, and he's trying to get him to Jesus so Jesus can heal him, but they can't get him to him because the house is too full. So his friends carry him on the roof, dig a hole in the roof, and lower him down to Jesus. Jesus sees him, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but Jesus sees him and says, because of their faith, you are healed. He doesn't say because of your faith. He says because of their faith. Sometimes we need people in our lives to pick us up and carry us to Jesus because we feel paralyzed. It could be paralyzed from fear or guilt, or paralyzed with an addiction. It could be paralyzed with grief, but something in our life makes us feel paralyzed. And sometimes we need friends to pick us up and carry us to Jesus. And that's what we do at CR.
And you mentioned about friends. Well, I had asked you how you decided to make a contact with the cable system. You said you're friends.
Yes. Yep. Joe and Rose.
Well, have they ever been in consultation with you, or just an observer?
I don't talk about anybody that's in the group or not. We
Okay.
get really, really careful about not saying who goes or who doesn't go.
Okay.
So
All right.
they're just
But they were your friends.
friends from
and
church,
they
yep.
still are.
Yep.
And your sister is one of them.
Yes, my sister. Hi, Dawn.
Okay. I had asked you because we weren't sure. We're trying to get volunteers here, get programs, more programs, because there's a lot of different diverse wants in that viewing audience over there. So we do have sports, and we do have like a program like myself. Music, we got a little bit of everything, but there's always something else that can go through that tube to somebody sitting there. So maybe one of these years or months, you might decide to sit down and do a program.
Yeah, we could possibly look into that for sure.
Okay, you said about 25 programs you have.
Yeah, it's 25 lessons, gets us through the whole 8 principles. So we start a new teaching year in January, and we end in December. So it takes us through the whole year. And then, like I said, every other week's a testimony. So.
Okay. How do you survive? You don't have donations or anything, do you?
We do take donations, and we're a ministry of the church. So the church will give us funds if we're not, but honestly, it don't take a whole lot of money. And generally, one of our members just buys whatever we need. So we're self-funding for the most part.
Okay. And for somebody that probably just clued us in and said, what are they talking about? Where can we go for more information? And it's in Riverview, but
Yeah. It's in
the
Riverview,
address.
so you can go to a couple different places. You can go to celebraterecovery.com, and that's the national website. This is This Celebrate Recovery is worldwide, but mainly in the United States. So if you're looking for just information on Celebrate Recovery itself, that's going to be your best resource. And then on that website, there's also a group locator. So then you could type in your zip code. So if you just happen to have family members in California or Florida and they might be interested, there's probably a group by them too. We have a Facebook page. So if you type in Celebrate Recovery at Living Water Church, you can find information on us there. And we are at Living Water Church at 17125 Ford Line.
Okay. Are there any other local recovery groups, say downriver? Or?
Yeah, there's a couple. The closest one to us, there's one in Trenton that meets on Thursday nights. There's a Celebrate Recovery. And then there's a few more out towards like Canton and out that area, Canton, Livonia, Plymouth. But it's all like if you go to the national website, you can find a group anywhere where they're at.
All right. In wrapping up, what can we basically give advice to somebody there that's having a problem, doesn't want to come down, but maybe you can give them a word of advice?
Well, it's like I try to tell people that when it comes to mental health type stuff, maybe an addiction or anxiety and depression, that's one that I didn't mention, that's a big one. Anxiety and depression's a big one that we can help with at this group as well. When it comes to things like that, we think that maybe something's wrong with us. Maybe we're already a part of a church, and we think if somebody knew that I struggled with this, they would think less of me or something like that. And to be honest, it's nonsense, because if you were born with a disease, you wouldn't think that way. Well, mental illness is a disease, so we need to get help for it. And that help might be to go and talk to your doctor, but most or all doctors are going to tell you you need some type of counseling as well. And that I have doctors that recommend Celebrate Recovery as well. But my advice to anybody would be, if you're struggling with something, just give it a try. Just come to 2 or 3 meetings and see if it helps. And I have full faith that it will. I mean, it's not for everybody, of course, but it's okay to not be okay. It's not okay to just not do nothing about it. If you're struggling with something, just say you're struggling with it and get the help that you need. Okay.
Your mom feels good, or she felt good about you doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she finally said, good. Being a minister, you've probably gone through different degrees too, haven't you? In the ministry, you're not considered a priest, or you're not a deacon or anything like that.
I'm none of those things. I'm a ministry leader of this ministry at our church. So I'm taking some schooling right now to, maybe somewhere down the line do something like that. But right now, my focus and my purpose from God is just to help people overcome their struggles.
Okay. Hey, thanks for coming.
Thanks.
And keep in touch with us.
I will.
All right. If something comes up, that special program or whatever, you can let us know, and we can tell them about it.
Thank you.
Okay. And hey, have a nice, happy St. Patty's Day.
You too.
We're all Irish on March 17th,
For
right?
sure.
That's it. Okay, I have no idea basically what you've been doing, but I've been trying to catch up. We have a lot of things with dates, as far as that's the reason I had Mark D'Angelo on for a second week, because he gave a lot of information on dates in March and also in April. Check our Channel 15, the agendas that are coming up. JCs are going to have things, oodles of events. There's a lasagna lunch also going to be at Copeland Center, and I can't remember the date, but it's by an eye surgeons group. Interesting. You can have something to eat and listen to information at the same time. Anyway, I'm glad I'm back, and I'm glad you're there. But take care, and we'll see you next time on Up, Down, and Around Town. Bye now.